got this. You got this, queen. You got this. Hi, guys. My name is Natalie, and this is Nat'sNook. If you're new here, welcome. And if you're not, I'm glad to have you back. So from the title of the video and the thumbnail you saw before you decided to click to watch, I'm sure that you are aware that this video will be about my first read of this year, 2019, which happened to be The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. Now, this book came out in 2012, so I'm a little late when it comes to reading this. Like 7 years late. Don't judge me. But I have seen the movie. Yes, it became a motion picture in 2014, so 2 years after the book was published. That's how popular it became. And I found out about the book because one of my English teachers in high school actually told me that it was a new teen/young adult novel that was, on the bestsellers list, and she felt as though that it would be something that I would be interested in. And she said that in 2014, she said that book would become a film, and for me, to possibly go see it. So my mom took me. It came out that June, and so my mom probably took me around July or August to see it. And I cried. It was at that age, I was 15 going on 16. I'm a very emotional person and I'm a hopeless romantic. So it was like one of the most beautiful films, like apart from the story of A Walk to Remember and The Notebook. And I just saw so many tropes in the files that were in both of those films as well, and books. So but and after I watched the film, I really didn't know much about, who the John Green person was. I just knew that he was an author, and he wrote not only The Fault in Our Stars, but Looking for Alaska. I personally have not read that. You see how long it took me to read the files. But I have not read Looking for Alaska. But as of now, he has more novels out. Turtles All the Way Down, Paper Towns, Looking for Alaska, and The Fault in Our Stars. Those are the ones that I'm aware of. But after I watched the film that summer, I began my junior year of high school in the fall, and I was taking AP World History. Now, the funny thing is that my teacher, he had us watch these crash courses on YouTube to help us give a more entertaining version of, the history in the textbooks, so that we're able to grasp the information better, and so that it can stick with us. So the crash courses that we were watching were by John Green himself, and I was like, this guy looks familiar, his name sounds familiar, but I just don't know where I know him from. Put two and two together, and then after a few of his crash course videos, he will promote his books, and I was like, that's where I know him from, The Fault in Our Stars. So the end of my junior year, I convinced my teacher to let us watch The Fault in Our Stars, like our last week of class or whatever, and all of my classmates enjoyed it. Even students from other classes came in and was like, I want to watch this, I want to see what this is about, so it was really cool. Also, in my 12th grade year of high school, my senior year, I was taking pre-calculus, and everyone in my class was assigned to do a project based on some area of calculus. So my topic was none other than Infinities, and we had to relate it to something of the real world, I believe. I'm not really sure the logistics of what the project was for, but yeah, we had to relate it to something of the real world, I'm assuming. So I related it to John Green's book, The Files, and it's this one scene where, if you know, do know, Gus told Hazel and Isaac that he wants to attend his own funeral. Weird, right? I know, but yeah, he wants to attend his own funeral, and he told them to have their eulogies ready because he wants them to read them to him at a church, which is what they do. And when Hazel read hers, she mentions this part where she says some infinities are bigger than other infinities, and that's the part I pulled from the movie that I put in my project and presentation. And then I actually talked about, the real mathematics of infinities. So I carried it with me into the classroom, and I got an A. But as to why I waited so long to read the FIOS, I'm not one of those persons that, keep up with, the books that are trendy and stuff like that. I feel like whenever is the right time for me to read a book, I will read it then, whenever it's the perfect time. So I guess this year, the beginning of this year, was perfect for me to read The Fault in Our Stars. There were a lot of things that I noticed in the book. Now, when it comes to books and, film adaptations, the book is always better. The film only does but so much when it comes to bringing the story to life. But the book is always better. But I noticed that there were a lot of things that weren't really present in the film that, I felt like really should have been key in it, that were really key in the book. But so starting with, for example, spoiler alert, Isaac and Hazel's relationships, their friendship was very prominent in the book, more so than it was in the film. She went to go see him after he had his eye surgery at the hospital, spent time with him at his house playing the video game thing with him, and even spent time with him after Gus had passed at the end of the novel. So I was just like, their friendship grew through Gus, and I just thought that was very beautiful, and it should have been more prominent in the film. But at the end of the day, the story is more so about the love relationship between Gus and Hazel. So, which they did a great job of showing. Also, I wasn't aware that, because like I said, I watched the movie first before I read the book. I wasn't aware that Hazel had a best friend, sort of, in the film, until I read about her in the book. And they went shopping together, they would talk on the phone together. I believe that they were also schoolmates. So I was like, okay, so she's not a loner. That typical storyline where it's like sick girl is a loner because she's dealing with this illness, and then guy comes along, guy meets girl, girl meets guy, they start to connect, and it's just like they fall in love, and then whoever is sick dies. It wasn't like that type of storyline. It was like, girl is suffering with illness, guy who was once suffering with illness meets girl. Their relation, they talk about, their different illnesses and everything, and they just kind of bond over that. But then they eventually go off into exploring more of themselves and finding out who they really are besides their story of them being sick. So I thought that was great. And instead of the girl dying, the guy, his illness comes back 10 times worse, and he ends up passing. So I was like, this isn't your average sick romance, novel. It's that, but it's the twist is just completely different and better, honestly, because it's not as cliche. So I enjoyed that. Another thing I noticed was that Gus talks more about his ex and what her issue or what her illness was, and those parts in this novel broke me. The parts of where he sat down with Hazel and expressed how when his ex days, when he realized that her last days were coming upon her and how she just wasn't herself, that really hurt, because it's like he saw that in her, what Hazel was seeing in Gus once his cancer came back, and I was like, oh man. So yeah, they talk. It's more mentions of his ex in the book than there really is in the film. What else? There's a lot of quotes. Everyone knows the famous quotes where it's like, maybe okay will be our always, and the cigarette metaphor. That was very popular. But there were some other quotes that I felt like kind of got looked over, that I kind of highlighted. I do have a few pictures that I posted on Instagram that I'm going to put here. because I did keep my followers updated with my progress through reading the book, even though it's unsure if they appreciate it or not. I posted it. So yeah, but this was my first read, and it was a soft, subtle read, very, very pulling on the heart, as far as emotions and just realizing that, you know, oblivion is inevitable. Like, there will be a time where our existence will come to an end, whether we want it to or not, whether we felt like we haven't fulfilled everything in our lives. Our time will come, and it will be the right time, because when it is our time, the people who we have touched, the lives who we have touched, will get to say that you or they have fulfilled them in a way, in a special way. And see, that's one thing Gus could never see, until Hazel finally proved to him that he didn't have to fulfill everything. He didn't have to, you know, feel like he needed to make everyone in the world know about him, and know that, you know, Gus did this, Gus did that, and that when he leaves, he will feel like he made the world, the entire world, whole, if you get what I'm saying. It was more about the people that he touched personally. Hazel, Isaac, Hazel's parents, people at support group, the other kids. It was more about that than anything. So when it comes to rating this book, I would give this book a 5 out of 5. I'm sure there are a lot of other YouTube videos that critique this book, rate this book, but I was here to just talk about, just do a compare and contrast of the book and the movie, and what I enjoyed about reading the book versus, you know, what should have, and then how it should have been added in the film. But yeah, so this was the first read of my 2019 reading list, and as I read my books, I do write them down. So yeah. If you haven't read The Fault in Our Stars, and if you haven't watched the movie, and if you feel like, you know, you just need to sit and watch a nice little romance film that will also teach you some valuable lessons related to life and related to existing and relating to the universe and the stars, read this and watch this film. So, but that's all. I hope you enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. You know, comment, like, subscribe, because there will be more content coming. I promise you. Alright, so I guess I'll just see you next time in the Nook. Bye, guys.